Why did the United States deport illegal immigrants on a C-17 Air Force military transport? On Thursday, January 23, 2025, a C-17 Globemaster III assigned to the 60th Air Mobility Wing took off from Fort Bliss, Texas, and flew to Guatemala to repatriate illegal immigrants in support of customs enforcement removal. And by the way, since the Air Mobility Command did this, I'm wearing my Alcoholics Moving cargo shirt today, which you can find at Bunker Branding. I also have a couple of patches available there as well. So it was one of my Substack subscribers who asked me this question: would not leased commercial aircraft been less expensive? So he is referring to, like, hey, would it have been cheaper to get a charter flight than use a military flight? And, honestly, I don't know. So let's try to figure that one out. Now, I have to tell you that I have been working on a really big video that will attempt to put an actual dollar amount on what it would take to capture, house, try, repatriate up to 11 million illegal immigrants that are estimated to be inside the United States. That video is coming soon, I promise. I just got to get all my ducks in a row for that one. But one of the things I noticed while doing the research for that video is that it costs about $236 a day to keep an illegal immigrant in detention. So keep that number in mind, $236 a day. Also note that military pilots need the flight hours. They could take off and cut holes in the sky, or they could do an actual mission. Back in 2011, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie got a bunch of crap from the press because he took a $12.5 million state helicopter to his son's baseball game. And it was said that the helicopter ride cost New Jersey taxpayers $1,800 per hour. But if you're paying that money anyway, the money has already been spent on the helicopter, and the pilots need the flight hours to maintain their status. So again, they could cut holes in the sky, or they could perform an actual mission, even if that mission is delivering the governor of New Jersey to a baseball game. So either way, they have to fly a minimum number of hours. Now, in this case, a C-17 was used. Technically, two of them, since one also took off from Arizona. But for the sake of the math, let's just focus on one C-17 so we can try to get it down to a specific cost. Now, a C-17 can hold 134 troops in jump seats along the walls and in special palletized seats on the inboard side. Now, we can pack people in there like we did in Afghanistan, but that's not safe. So we're going to go with 134 deportees per C-17 flight. Now, as of 2025, if another agency wants to use an Air Force C-17 for a flight, the non-DoD reimbursement rate for C-17 costs was $19,862 for every hour of flight. The Air Force will send you a bill. But that isn't necessarily the operating costs. That's a little tougher to find, but the Government Accountability Office in 2022 had a report which said that a C-17 costs $30,378 per hour to operate. So I don't think that number would fluctuate that much in the past 3 years. So the real answer is that it probably costs about $30,000 an hour to fly a C-17 full of 134 people. So I think we can assume that the average rate that it takes to move one person on a C-17 is $226.70 per person per hour. So what is the equivalent of a 134-person passenger jet? What's the equivalent of a C-17 in capacity for passengers? Well, it would be a 737-700. And that can hold a couple more. It can hold up to 149 passengers in a one-class layout. Now, according to Paramount Business Jets, the cost to charter a 737-700 is around $21,050 per hour, and you can hold a couple extra people. So the cost to charter, at least based on Paramount Business Jets, is $141.28 an hour per person per flight hour, saving the taxpayer $85.42 per flight hour. Now, a company called EvoJets had a lower charter price between $6,800 and $9,800 per hour But that's kind of where we get into the problem, and that problem is bidding. Now, for every day that you put out a competitive bid for someone to repatriate your detainees, you're spending $236 a day per person detaining that detainee. So if we have those 134 detainees that could be on a flight, it costs the U.S. $3,164 per day to keep them fed, housed, and guarded. So if we have to wait a week for a charter contract to come through and for the plane to actually get to the airport to remove these people, we've now just spent $221,368 just to get a cheaper flight. And that doesn't quite add up. It might actually be more efficient to put them on the military flight now than wait a couple of days for that charter flight. Now, according to the Immigrations and Customs website, ICE uses commercial airlines and charter flights, both. So we can assume that they already have a contract with charter airlines, but I would also assume that these are pre-negotiated contract rates, and the charter airlines, they're not just waiting around to fly these people out. Those planes are probably being used by other clients when they're not being used by ICE. So you still have that problem of, hey, we got to turn this plane around and get it ready to take prisoners to a destination. It also might be a certain case where charter flights are available on specific days as per the contract because there is a certain amount of people being deported every week. Now, while doing the research for my border deportation video, I discovered some data that said it costs about $1,479 to deport an illegal immigrant, at least via ground. Now, ICE has never provided an exact cost of ground transportation, but in 2007, removal was estimated at $1,000 per person. If we adjust this for inflation, that number is about $1,400, $1,479. If that were true, then deporting 134 people the traditional way costs $198,224. So maybe a military jet is cheaper? Now, that number of $1,479, it might be an average cost across all methods of removal, commercial, charter, military. I just don't know. All I have is that number. It does seem kind of high, but maybe that number also includes overtime for guards and per diem. We really don't know. But what I do know about military aircraft is that they do serve at the pleasure of the president. So a military jet that's ready to go right now might be cheaper than a civilian jet you have to wait a couple of days for. On its surface, it may seem like wasteful spending, just like Chris Christie's helicopter, but again, pilots need the hours, and a plane that is available right now might be cheaper than paying to detain a certain number of prisoners for another day to wait for that charter flight. Hey, if you want to support the channel, go grab one of my Alcoholics Moving Cargo shirts from Bunker Branding. I also have those patches available now in Spice Brown, too. And you can also grab my novel, The Wind Machine, from Amazon. It's also available on audible.com if you're a Marine. Ever wonder what would happen if Dr. Strange ran a hedge fund? Well, read that book and find out. And one more thing. While doing the research for this video, I actually found out that MC Hammer had his own chartered airplane. I didn't know that. It was a 727. Only problem was that it was always breaking down because nobody could touch it. I'll see myself out. Wow, this girl from Watertown sure is cool. Hey kid, what's going on? Think tank! You know, a girl from Watertown is kind of like riding a moped. It's lots of fun till your friends see you on one. What's really cool is a t-shirt or hoodie from Bunker Branding. Wow! Intel Life! Control-C, Control-V! That's exactly what we do! And Bunker Branding has all sorts of cool gear. Intel Life, Air Assault, Live, Laugh, Launch for Destroyer, Trident, HIMARS, and Patriot. Think outside the bomb. Drone Suite Drone, Department of the Boat People, landmines, and even the tow missile. It would behoove you to grab one today. Girls from Watertown aren't cool, so wear your Bunker Branding gear. Now I know. And knowing's half the battle. Hey babe, you wanna dance? Bunker Branding!